You ever see Christmas Vacation, the movie Christmas Vacation? It's made in 1989. And it just occurred to me today that I spend way too much of the show talking about the problems I'm having with the show. The show is very self-referential, which is fine. I appreciate it. I would appreciate it. I would listen to this show. It's just some guy trying to do this thing. You know, I would listen to that. When Clark Griswold tries to light the house up, and he's got all the people out there, and then he's like, ta-da, and like drum roll, that whole thing, and he does that, and then nothing happens. Every single goddamn show I do is that with me. And I realize I'm looking at it and it's like, oh, it's the wires. I see it now. Like, it's so horribly plugged together. It's like, I'm going to add this, and then I'll add this, and then I'll add this. Might be symbolic of my life, too. Like, I'll do this, and this, and this, and this, and then all it didn't work today. I don't know why. And you got to try to find the root of the problem. That is me every day trying to get on the air, and even more so today, where there was a period, I don't know, a couple weeks ago, where I was worried about I have 3 monitors, and I was worried about the 3rd monitor. And today I was going to do the show with no monitor. Well, 1 monitor, just the laptop one. And no ability to have the stuff on the screen around me. It was just going to be me just talking into the camera right there, this one. Because nothing worked. And then I just had to... I started unplugging and replugging and turning things off and rebooting things, whatever. So we got it back to where I've got 1 extra monitor, which is enough. It's fine. But I need to start over. I need to unplug everything and move everything and throw out things that we're not using. There's just... You would not watch or listen to this show if you saw what I see right now, which is just garbage everywhere. And by garbage, I mean wires. Things are just crossing and twisting, and I don't know what does what anymore, because I've just been adding to the show visually. The audio's been pretty much the same. We've got one device that, like, if that works, we're good. But we were at a point earlier where the hard drive wasn't even connected, so doing the show would have been fine. We'd live stream it, and then it would disappear forever. I wouldn't have access to it. I wouldn't, like, all that. I got it back a little bit. But this is the kind of problem I'd like to have on, say, a Friday, where I go, oh, all right, I've got 3 days to figure this out, and I could unplug everything and replug. But as of like half an hour ago, my thought was, I need to unplug everything, clear off this whole setup, and start over and put in the pieces that I'm using one at a time, and maybe wrap wires together and like label thing. There's just never time to do it. And certainly at 10 o'clock in the morning at the start of our first full week of shows in 2 weeks was not the time to do it. So we're going to have a, to me, stripped down version of the show for this week, or certainly for today. It doesn't matter much, because rather than my show sheet, because I couldn't get the printer to work last night, this is what I'm working off of today, is this notebook of things that I wrote down over the weekend. So I'm going to work off of that. And then Scott Wilson's coming on at 11 o'clock anyway. So we'll be good. We'll be fine. Is there stuff? I feel like there's like announcement stuff. Yeah. So I've been building up to this, and I revealed a little bit of it the other day, and it has since changed. But the new venture, in addition to the show, which will continue, I'm going to be hosting a live trivia event every Tuesday night at the Kaz in South Buffalo. The Kaz, if you missed the show where I talked about it, is this incredible venue that was built for music. But I feel that this is a perfect fit for it as well. It's built for music, but like it's a stage that's super well lit and a super cool venue with video cameras and all that. It's good for, stand-up comedy too, or something. This isn't comedy. This is just a show. However, I've been influenced by a lot of other shows. And the thing in my head is that we can do a live trivia show that in some way resembles the format of Kill Tony by bringing people up on stage. It's not... I'm not going to reveal all of it, but it's not exactly that, but it's kind of that. Like, the influences are stand-up comedy, music, podcasts, and Kill Tony in particular, and trivia. So all of that is coming together, and you can't just go there. You have to buy a ticket and everything. And I told you a little bit about it the other day. I told you it was starting on January 13th. That's going to be not January 13th. That's going to be for me to figure things out. That's going to be me and a couple of friends in the building to make sure that it's where we need it to be. January 20th will be the debut. And I have not checked to see if tickets are on sale yet, but they will be. I think tickets like $15. It's not just a regular walk into a bar and answer some trivia questions and win a gift card for next week. This is a show. And it will begin on January 20th, and the plan is to do it for a year on Tuesdays. So we're not messing around at all, but it is pushed back 1 week for various reasons in getting it together. It's kind of thing, like, even as I was telling you about it the other day, I was thinking I shouldn't talk about this yet, but I'm very excited, so I want people to know. I'm going to look right now and see if tickets are available yet. They might be. And I'm getting a ton of questions about it, and people are excited about it, and they should be, and you should be. But it's not ready on the 13th yet. And honestly, the 20th is if you follow along with what I do, everything evolves. So what I need to do as a overthinker is start it and then figure out what it is. Because me just thinking and thinking and thinking does not work in life. Like, I overthink everything. I spend way too much time planning on a thing. Me doing this show is kind of my first rebellion against that part of myself, which is the radio show itself ended after 100 episodes. I was like, well, if I don't just keep going, I'll never figure this out. So I'm just figuring it out a little bit at a time. And the show's getting better, and the visuals are better, and the lighting is slightly better. And it's just, I'm improving it a little bit at a time. I have a million ideas, and if I just sit and think about them, I'll just be paralyzed. So we just keep moving. So this trivia show / game / event thing is going to start on January 20th at the Kaz. And it will not be as good as it'll be a month later, or as good as it'll be 6 months later, or as big as it'll be in 3 years. But we're starting it, and it's going to be great. And I'm very thankful to the people at the Kaz for working with me on this and understanding and believing in the vision that I have for it. So that is coming, but it's coming a week later than I promised. And I don't expect every one of you to sign up for to spend $15 to be like, oh, what's Brad doing now? When I'm doing this all for free. You just tune in and see what's going on for free. But it would be awesome if you, as a token of appreciation of the free service I'm providing to you, wanted to come check it out and be a part of it early. Especially on the 20th, where obviously it will be flawed. It will resemble this show, but it'll be in a live, well-lit, super cool venue with beer. There's that. So I'm just asking if you have been like paying attention to the show and you're interested in the show and you like what we're doing here, please consider showing up for the first of what will be several events at the Kaz. It'll be January 20th, and I'm checking now to see. I should have done this before the show, but I was too busy trying to get the lights to work like Clark Griswold. Eventually, I plugged something in, and it worked. And maybe Rusty was in the back flipping a switch or plugging something in the garage. I don't know. Did the thing show up on here yet? Doesn't appear to be there yet. All right, so we're working on that. Maybe that's part of why we're pushing it back a week. It's okay. But I want you to know about that. It's a big deal. It's definitely happening, and I'm excited about it. Okay. New development in my brain for the show is that part of this is that I couldn't get the printer to work again, so I didn't have a show sheet. So typically I've got a show sheet, and over the course of the weekend, I would be writing things down in there. Instead, I use this notebook, and all I wrote down is things that I watched since the last show. Here, I'm going to read you the list of the things that I watched over the course of the weekend, because it's come to my attention. Most of this show is just Brad saw this happen, and he talks about it. I do 2 hours of radio, and I do 22 hours of observing other things in life, and then putting them in my head, and then talking about them. So if I just write down things I watched, that should be good enough. Because it's not like I write out scripts of anything. I just observe life and then talk about the things that I saw, the things that it made me think of. And when I say things I watched, I don't necessarily just mean like television shows, although that's what this whole list is. But it includes Little League games and flag football games and basketball practices and how people drive and how people behave in stores. And I'm an observational host, if that makes sense. Like Seinfeld. Seinfeld observed and then wrote down tight little jokes about it. I don't write down tight little jokes. I just observe and then talk about my observations. So that's kind of where I am. So here's the list of things I watched. This is just stuff I watched on TV. I watched the new Chevy Chase documentary, or Chevy? No, Chevy. Chevy Chase documentary on CNN. I watched the Stuart Scott 30 for 30 on ESPN Plus or something. I watched the Farewell Highmark Stadium 45-minute documentary on YouTube. That led me to several of the Games to Remember. They call it a retro podcast series or something like that, hosted by Chris Brown, where he brings in a former Bill to talk about a game that occurred at the stadium, all of which I've seen, all of which many of you have seen. Some of which some of you may not have seen if you're much younger than me. But so far, every game that I've watched on there, and I've watched probably 4 or 5 episodes of that, and it's all games that I have seen and remember, not to the extent that the players do or that Chris does. Let me just real quick give a shout out to Chris, who just is killing it. I've known Chris Brown for a long time. He went to Geneseo. We weren't like tight at Geneseo, but I knew who he was. He knew who I was. And then when I got hired at GR in 1997, shortly after graduation, a year after graduation, he was there. I was like, oh, I know this guy. And he right then, like almost immediately after I got there, switched from just a news guy to being the Bills beat reporter. And that has led to, obviously, bigger and better things for Chris. But he's still exactly the same guy, just a super professional, well-prepared, intelligent, awesome. You know, he's perfect. And I texted him after watching the Highmark thing, and then could have called it Bymark Stadium. That's what I would have called it. Bymark. Get it? Because it's Highmark, but they're leaving. All right. And then I watched, I don't remember what the first one was. not Andre, not Eric Wood. Talley. Daryl Talley talking about the Raiders 51-3 game. And it was awesome. In part because the game was awesome. In part because Chris Brown is great at this. In part because the Bills' social media / video, like AV staff, whatever, is incredible. In part because of Tally, in part because of the game, in part because I'm from here. It was just great. And I texted Chris and just like raved about what he did. Because Chris is the narrator in the farewell Highmark Stadium thing. And then it just led me into this. So I spent like 2 hours just watching Chris Brown and texted him about it. And he replied, I texted him late at night. I knew it was too late. And he replied like, oh, you got to see this one and this one and this one. And I'm like, by the time I replied, I was like, yeah, I know. What is this? What? Is my son playing Damn That River by Alice in Chains? Dismiss. 22 minus 7, 15. 31 plus 21, 52. Ha ha. All right. Now I have to tell it not to do that again. I'm coming back to you, I promise. We just can't coexist. Me and my son playing Damn That River as an alarm. I got to work on that because that's the alarm that's set for 9:45 every day to remind me if I'm not in position. Like, get the show rolling. You're up in 15 minutes. For some reason, it was set for 10:30. I don't know why. Don't be surprised if that alarm goes off at this time every day for the next 11 days. Because it's very important to me right now that just happened. But I'm not stopping my life to turn it off. And by the time the show ends, I'm not going to remember. Maybe I'll notice when it doesn't go off at 9:45 tomorrow. Maybe I won't. This might be a new feature of the show. This is how dumb Brad is. He forgot to shut off the alarm again. And then we have to do 2 math problems to solve it. Then we have to find the notifications and then tell it to cancel the wake up alarm or make sure you're up alarm. Okay. I was talking about what? The Bills and Chris Brown and that series. Oh, yeah. First of all, watch the Farewell to the Stadium doc. It is honestly far more touching than actually watching the Bills beat the crap out of the Jets yesterday at the stadium. That didn't even feel like they were playing an NFL team. And like they're talking about, oh, look at this guy. He's the punt returner. He's the MVP. The team voted him the MVP. I'm like, wow. And then later in the game, like, this punter could have been the MVP too. And that's kind of a joke. It's kind of an insult, but it's kind of like reality when your team stinks. We've had that. I do UB football games, and like they get blown out some days. It's like, who's your player of the game? Like, oh, Jesus. From our team? The punter? The one that made him work for more yards? That guy. And that's how they were talking. And they weren't even, I mean, I'm sure they were semi-joking, but they weren't 100% joking. And I even said, like, where's Garrett Wilson? And one of my sons was like, he's hurt. I'm like, oh. Hey, what else do they have? Nothing? Okay. Cool. I have Jets friends. It's sad. Very sad. So the Bills did their thing yesterday and stomped on the Jets with their backups. It was a postseason. Wait, no, it was a preseason game, which is a term I had just bopping around in my head the whole time I was watching it because it wasn't really a game. It would have been more of a game, I guess, if they were playing against an actual team. But, like, could the Bills cut all their players and replace them with 53 entirely new players that are not on NFL rosters and compete with the Jets? I would say almost. Like, it's close. Like, the Jets have the wrong guys. definitely have the wrong coach. Did he get fired yet today? I haven't looked at any news. I don't know anything that has happened today. But it seems like he probably should be one and done. All the crazy statistics going into yesterday about Aaron Glenn. First-year head coach. First team ever to lose every game in December by 23 or more points. Then they lose by more than that yesterday. I mean, it felt like the CBS camera people were intentionally staring at Aaron Glenn because it was the last time he'd be on a sideline as a head coach. No one said it aloud, but good God. As Scott said on Friday, you can lose, you can struggle, you can't embarrass our franchise. And that was an embarrassing performance for at least the fifth time in a row by the New York Jets. It was fun to, say goodbye to the stadium. I didn't go, but like watching it on TV, I thought they did a nice tribute to the place. I don't feel like it matters that much. Honestly, watching the farewell to the stadium, I was going to say, I don't feel like it matters that much. I should finish that thought. Stop interrupting my own thoughts with my new thoughts. My overall thing, like watching the game as the farewell to the stadium, was what's wrong with the stadium? If this place is so great, why don't you just play here next year? And I get that there's a newer, fancier place across the street, or will be. But I don't know. There's a part of me that just doesn't want to live in a world where this thing that we're paying tribute to, the 53 years of this place, isn't good enough. What's not good enough about going to a game? Who have you ever met? The answer is no one. I'll tell you that right off the bat, but I'm going to pose this question anyway. Who have you ever met who's like, I'm not going to the game. I don't like the stadium. I don't like driving there. I don't like driving home from there. I don't like the crowd. I don't like being stuck there. But once you go to a game, like the 3 hours that you're at the game are the best. There's literally no problem. There was an era where we had a crap scoreboard and you couldn't see replays. That's gone. Scoreboard's fine. Driving to Orchard Park, like in and out of Orchard Park, kind of sucks. That's not changing. It's cold in December in Buffalo. That's not changing. It's windy. They seem to have fixed that. The problem that has been solved is wind, I think. Watching some other documentary thing. It was Hard Knocks. Watching Hard Knocks. Like, you can stand down here and you're so far below where the wind is that it doesn't affect you on the field. And okay, that's cool. But other than the wind upgrade, what has happened? And I'm all for progress. But it's just like, yeah, this thing's, the stadium, it's over. Like, I want to see things falling down. Nothing's falling down. There's nothing wrong with the stadium that's closed now. Barring a AFC championship game of this sort, you get it if you got kids. It's done. And it's also fine. It yesterday hosted an NFL game with 70,000 people in attendance on national television, and everything went fine. And now let's use dynamite to destroy it so we can move across the street. It just, you should watch the documentary on YouTube. It's called Farewell Highmark or something like that. Farewell is in the term. It's put out by the Bills. It's about 45 minutes, and it's awesome. My only problem is I think they're doing that thing where, you know how sometimes you watch a TV show and they start shooting sand out of your television right into your face, and then suddenly your eyes are watering and you have to pause it and then wipe the sand out of your eyes, and you start it again, and then they shoot sand at your face again. I think it's the only explanation I can have for why my eyes watered so many times while watching that show. It was awesome. And then that led me into the Games to Remember series, which there might be one or two left that I haven't seen, but I watched the one after the Tally one right after the documentary, and then I texted Chris Brown, and that was at like 11:30 at night, and then he replied at 8 o'clock in the morning or something, and I had already watched another one or two. He's like, "Oh, you should see this." I'm like, "Yeah, I did. I just wasn't going to text you again at 1 a.m. like a psycho." But it's awesome stuff. All right. What do I do? 10:40. Options on my list right here, because I don't want to get too much into football and playoffs, because Scott will be on at 11 o'clock, and we'll do that. I rewatched The Truman Show. My 13-year-old son was like, "Hey, is The Truman Show a good movie?" And I said, "I think so." I watched it when it came out. I saw it in the theater, I believe. Although I can't picture exactly where I was, which makes me think maybe I didn't, but I think I did. And I told him, I'm like, I remember liking it, not loving it, and thinking it wasn't what I expected it to be. It wasn't Jim Carrey at his funniest, but it also wasn't like Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, where it was clear we weren't going for comedy. This was kind of a mix, and it confused me at the time. Rewatching it, that movie's great. It sort of foretells the future of media and all this stuff. And it was, so we watched that the other night at my son's request down here in the Riter Theater. That's a big thing when I can suck the kids in to come down here with the theater setup. It's not a theater, it's a movie screen. But it's a projector. It's a 12-foot screen. It's pretty cool. It's kind of what I dreamed of as a kid. The fact that my kids have this as just a basis. I don't know what they're going to need to move into when they get older, but like I made it when I could watch a giant movie in surround sound in my basement. Like that's a big deal. And we watched it, and it ended, and my son. So I'm sitting on a recliner, and my son's I'm back here looking at the movie up there, and then my son's on a couch over here with his head facing, he's laying on a couch. So he's looking at it, but I can't see him. And that meant I had no idea. Well, let's move on. When the movie ends, I'm like, "What'd you think?" He's like, "It was good. I liked it." I was like, "Yeah, I went into it the first time thinking it was a comedy, but it wasn't really a comedy, so I was disappointed in that." But I'm like, watching it again, it was more almost a horror film. And he's like, kind of, I'm like, "What do you think?" He's like, it was good. And then he's like, "I'm tired. I'm going to bed." So he went upstairs. He came down an hour later. He's like, "Hey, so I'm realizing now that I fell asleep during the movie because I don't know how it ended." Like, "Oh, what's the last thing you remember?" And he tells me, and so we went back to that, and then we watched the whole thing, and then we both thought it was great. But The Truman Show is a much better movie than I remember it being, and we watched it because my son talked about it with a friend of his, and he's like, "It sounds like the kind of movie I would like." And he was right. It was good. So we did that. And then when he went upstairs, I finally, for the first time in my life, watched The Godfather Part 2. And I've got many thoughts on that. I'm going to start with good movie. Also not like amazing and great, but good. Like I could see that being Best Picture. That's fine. I also think that there are movies like that where if you don't see them in real time or don't see them before the things that are influenced by them, it kind of messes with it. I hadn't seen the first Godfather until, let's say, 7 years ago, something like that. And I finally watched it. I was like, oh, I get what people are talking about. It can't keep up with Goodfellas, but Goodfellas couldn't exist without it. So, I'll give it its due. And then I watched the second one, I don't know, a couple nights ago. And when you take the first one and the second one, it is unbelievable to think of how many different shows, movies, episodes of shows, scenes from shows that were directly ripped from both of those movies, Godfather 1 and 2. And made me think this is the most amazing show I've ever seen. I'll just use Breaking Bad as an example, but there are multiple scenes in Breaking Bad that were the best scenes of a 5-season series that 100% were ripped from The Godfather. I'm not going to say stolen from The Godfather. I'm going to say were tributes to The Godfather. But I didn't know that. Ozark has done a bunch of stuff where I was just watching this movie the other night. I was like, oh, that's where they got that from. All of this stuff, the influence of these two movies is what I appreciate the most. Which is, it's kind of cool. It's like if you didn't know the blues existed and then you were all in on Elvis. It's fine if you don't know. You're like, this is incredible. It's like, yeah, Elvis watched The Godfather, and then he made his movie. It's kind of the same type of, that's the vibe I got off of it. It was incredible. Oh, also, young Pacino is so much better than the Pacino that I know better. I almost said but I know more well. That would have been a bad choice. It's a bad choice to even tell you that. I was thinking about saying it that way. But if you know Al Pacino as hoo-ah, like that guy, no. Young Pacino was unbelievably believable and cool and interesting. And my takeaway is I probably will never watch that again. It's 3 hours long. I probably won't watch The Godfather Part 2 again. But I get why it was Best Picture, and I get why people worship it. Because it was so influential to almost everything I've seen since. Combine that 1 and 2 together. I mean, that is a foundation for most of what I consider to be great in movies and TV. It, by itself, it's slow and plodding. Stuff happens, but at just not a fast enough pace to really hold your attention. I had to force myself to no, you're not playing a game on your phone while you're watching this. Watch The Godfather, you jerk. It's been here for 50 years. Just watch it. Part 2, but still. Just watch it. Don't do something else. You're going to miss stuff. And I even, at some point, paused. There's an intermission built into the movie, which I think is cool. It's a 3 hour and 10-minute movie or something. And 2 hours and 20 minutes in. Intermission. Which would be nice if you're in the theater. If you don't want to miss anything. I do that. I sit in a movie. Most movies I attend in the theater, by the end, I just want it to be over because I have to pee. because I'm not leaving. Because I don't want to, even for a minute, I don't want to miss a minute of the thing. And with this, the overall thing where we watch things at home, we can pause, or we can look at a phone, or we can have somebody walk into the room and distract us. That's not how the movie is meant to be seen. Like, this is a bunch of professionals putting together this piece of art for me to observe. I don't want to miss any of it. And it was a little tough to resist checking, text messages or playing a game on my phone while also... You can do that when you're watching Anchorman for the 17th time. You can't do it when you waited 50 years to watch The Godfather Part 2. This is all just stuff in my head. Like, these are rules that I established for myself. But I try to be appreciative of the art. And it's slow. It's not the fault of Coppola. It's not the fault of anyone. That was the style. We had time to lay out and have a 3-hour movie that's quiet and dark, and you have to pay attention. Look at all the parts of the screen and listen to all the words and try to plug them all together into a thing. So my overall, my review of that is, you guys were right, America. I should watch that movie. It was good, and I will now recommend it to everyone. But you got to be patient, because it's not explosive, although there are some explosions. It's not explosive. It's character-driven drama. It was good. It was good. So that's my review. More movies need intermissions. That's 100% right. If you were watching at home, you'd pause. If I'm 11 minutes into a 2-hour movie and I'm in a theater and I drank the giant Diet Pepsi or whatever, I got bladder pain, but I just paid a bunch of money to sit here, I'm not missing it. So now I'm just uncomfortable. An intermission, a timeout, is helpful. We do it in live theater. We do it in sporting events. For some reason, we don't do it typically in a 2.5 or 3-hour movie. It just rolls. Intermission is a good idea. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby and pee. Not in the lobby, but there's a restroom attached to the lobby. Go there. That would be helpful. You're right, Nick. I was worried I had the flu. I'm reading from the comments on YouTube here. I was worried I had the flu all of a sudden. I had chills and goosebumps for at least 30 of the minutes. I'm guessing that has to do with either the game. It could be the game. It could be the documentary. The Bills Stadium, Highmark thing, whatever it's called. Farewell is in the title. Farewell Highmark Stadium, maybe. There's something about the naming rights that makes it less sentimental to me. Like, I grew up, it was Rich Stadium. I have since gotten over that because that was just a sponsorship too. It being Bills Stadium briefly was fine. It being Ralph Wilson Stadium, I think, was the best one. New era, Highmark. I get how naming rights work, but it also makes it less cool. Like Pittsburgh, they're playing in Acrisure Stadium. That amazing game that we watched last night, that I watched last night, and I bet a bunch of you did too. That's Heinz Field to me, in part because that was the first name of it. And again, that's naming rights too. So it doesn't get a free pass. I'm like, no, that's cool. That's when we were cool. That's when we were indie. Like, that was Heinz, but it's Heinz Ketchup, and that's Pittsburgh. And like Rich Stadium is Rich Products, and that's Buffalo. So if that place was just called Rich Stadium the whole time, cool. But there's something is taken away from it by the fact that the name has changed several times due to corporate sponsorship. Doesn't make me, doesn't ruin all the nostalgia for things that have happened there. But if it had the same name the whole time, I think all of this would be far more impactful and like devastating to me to watch. All right, I'm going to play a couple songs. Did I do everything here? No, not at all. Well, I mentioned what's on my list here. Chevy Chase doc. I would say don't watch the Chevy Chase doc. I don't do this often. I don't say, I watch this. You shouldn't. I would say don't. It's certainly not funny. It's sad, but not like overly make you sad in a good, cathartic kind of way. It'll just make you like him less. If you're thinking of watching the Chevy Chase doc on CNN, instead watch Fletch. Just do that instead. It's better. Watch the first season of SNL. Watch Spies Like Us. Watch Christmas Vacation. Don't watch Community. All right, that's Chevy Chase review. Stuart Scott doc. Watch that one. That's all. At some point, I think I'll talk about that more. But I would just say watch. Watch. It's a 30 for 30 on ESPN about the late Sports Center anchor Stuart Scott. It's called Booyah. Or Booyah. I think he said Booyah instead of Booyah. Booyah. Watch that. Bill Stadium doc, watch that. Games to Remember, watch that. Truman Show, watch that. Godfather 2. If you haven't seen it, watch it. If you have, Bills Jets yesterday. You watched that already. I don't have to tell you whether you should or shouldn't. You did. And then Steelers Ravens, you definitely should have watched. Because that was awesome. That was awesome drama and a tremendous way for the NFL season to wrap up. It was a game where it was either you're in or you're out. It was a playoff game. It was a free playoff game, just thrown in at the end of the season. They got it right. They put the right game as the final Sunday night game, and it was phenomenal. Start to finish, just perfect. So that was great. So if you didn't watch that, sorry. Just watch SportsCenter or go online. But of all that's all I have written down is here are the things that I watch. That might be what I do now. Just write down the things I watch. And again, it won't just be TV. It'll be I watched a Little League game. I watched this happen at an intersection or at a restaurant or whatever. I mean, that's really what I do. I'm getting to know myself through the power of Riter Radio. It's episode 236. And we're going to play music, and then we're going to talk to Scott Wilson. So stick with me for a few songs, I should say, and then Scott will be here.
Let's check in with Riter Radio's senior football correspondent, Scott Wilson.
Like I said, the whole technology is messed up today. So I've got the music playing. I call Scott. Like, we'll be on in a minute. Okay, cool. I plug in the phone. The music stops playing. I unplug the phone. The music is now playing from the phone. And then as I'm plugging it back in, I hear Scott talking and saying, like, hey, if that happens, I don't know what that just was. Scott, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you fine. I don't know what just happened. That was...
Well, that happened Friday. Same thing.
Yeah, I don't know what that is. That's voodoo. All right.
I think the computer just knows we got to get this thing going.
We're melting down. We're melting.
I got to get this guy on the air
right now. It's going to be so good. What the hell? Yeah, that did happen Friday. It did feel somewhat familiar. I need to unplug everything and plug it back in. Something's got to change. There's something crazy happening with the technology right now. All right, it's Riter Radio. Scott Wilson is here for his twice weekly appearance. Bi-weekly would be once every other week, right? So it's twice weekly, I think is the right way to say it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think so.
All right. I got to get you on the screen. There you are. Then I get me on the screen. Where am I? Brad Live. There I am. And then I switch this over. And now we're on. Okay. The first thing I want to do with you is I want to read something out loud to you. I've been messing around with AI a lot lately and just seeing what it can do for me, in part as I'm getting ready for Brain Vault, which is the new live thing happening starting the 20th. It's a Tuesday night every week thing at the Kaz in South Buffalo. It's a trivia show, but it's more than that. But I've been using AI as like my committee. Like I have all these ideas in my head, and I talk to this AI thing, and it helps. I'm like, this is what I'm thinking. It's like, well, this is what I'm thinking. We go back and forth. I yesterday asked it to give me a 2-paragraph summary of Riter Radio written in the same notes style because I use it now. Oh, this is worth checking out. If you go on Spotify, every episode now has a summary that's 2 paragraphs long, and it tells you what's going on. So I was like, hey, let's just sum up the whole show. And I said, write a 2-paragraph summary of Riter Radio written in the same notes style based on everything you know about me and the show. Here's what it said. I would like to assess this with you, Scott, before we get into all the other stuff that we always get into. Are you ready?
Yes.
All right. Riter Radio is a daily unscripted live show hosted by Brad Riter that blends sports, culture, media, and everyday life into a conversational, deeply personal format. Built around Buffalo as both a setting and a sensibility, the show moves effortlessly from Bills, Sabres, and UB football to parenting mishaps, tech failures, nostalgia, music rabbit holes, and whatever else happens to be bouncing around Brad's head that day. What looks loose on the surface is anchored by consistency, weekday mornings, familiar voices, recurring guests, and an ongoing episode count that quietly keeps everything grounded. It's sports talk without the shouting, opinion without the outrage, and structure without pretending to be polished. That's the first paragraph. Here comes the second one. You're going to, at the end of this, tell me what you found to be correct and what you found to be incorrect. More than a podcast or live stream, Riter Radio functions as a running documentary of real life unfolding in real time, a place where analysis, humor, frustration, and curiosity coexist without being sanded down for clips. Brad doesn't play a character. He lets the audience sit in the room as thoughts form, conversations wander, and moments land organically. Regular contributors feel less like guests and more like friends dropping by, and listeners become part of the rhythm rather than an audience being performed to. The result is a show that values texture over perfection, honesty over efficiency, and connection over clicks. A daily habit that sounds less like traditional radio and more like an open door that's been left intentionally unlocked. That's it. What do you think of that summary?
Wow.
What do you think of that summary of the show? And how does that help shape your opinion of what AI is and can be?
I hate it.
Really?
I hate everything. No, I'm kidding.
Okay.
That's that. You know, I think that's perfect. I think that's shockingly well written.
I think it's unbelievably well written. It's
Yeah,
unbelievable. That summed up everything about what I'm doing. I don't know what to do with that summary. I was just curious last night as I'm doing a bunch of other stuff. I was like, hey, let's see what it thinks of the show. Like, sum up the show. And it did that.
I'll tell you what you should do with it is you should take excerpts from it and then attribute it to fake people as if they are also reviewing the show. Take it and say, Jim Richards from the Denver Post listened and said, it feels like the door's unlocked and friends can walk in. You know?
Yes.
It's very good. It's very good. I agree with all of it. I do think it has missed out on including in the food challenges, which I think have been and will always be a central focus of your podcast.
Yeah.
I think that has to be, you know, when you really get down to brass tacks, It's about eating those donuts in a van. You know, but no, I would have absolutely nothing to disagree with
Don't you
at
feel
all
better
in any of
about
that.
don't you feel better about turning over our lives to AI when it summarizes the show in that way? Like if I hired a consultancy firm to assess and define my show, if they gave that back to me, I'd be like, wow, thanks. That's really impressive. And that's just a computer or a series of whatever AI is. It was a few minutes of me, not even. It was a minute of me typing in a prompt, and then 8 seconds of it processing, and then it spat that back out after listening to, not, it never listens, but what I've been doing after every show, and that's why it's taken a while for them to get posted, but it's better, is I post it and it's there, and then once it takes like a day, once everything's in there, the transcript is available. And I take the transcript, I cut and paste that into the AI thing, and then I say, sum this up in 2 paragraphs, and then I make that the show notes. And so I've been doing that. Like, the shows, honestly, they might be garbage, but AI's description of every show is better than every show. So it's seriously, like, let me, all right, hold on. I got to find it, but I want you to understand what I'm dealing with here. It's just.
I know that you've recently become very taken with AI.
Well, it's unbelievable.
You're become a very big fan of AI.
It's crazy.
I have used it for some things, just with images and stuff. Trying to create alternate UB logos that I would like to be used.
Yes.
Stuff like that, and it has been very. It can be very frustrating at times.
Yeah.
But still has been very fun and effective to use. This is a much simpler task that I think it definitely can do, rather than, creating something from nothing. You're at least giving it some basis, and I mean, yeah, that summary is excellent.
So the last time you were on was what's today?
You can see why everyone in college uses it.
Right? Why wouldn't you? I mean, this is unbelievable. All right, so you were on Friday. I'm going to find the summary of Friday's show. I don't know if your name was mentioned in its summary.
Well, then it sucks.
Well, it mentions you a lot, though. All right, there's the transcript. No, I want the show notes.
Have you named your AI yet? Have you named it?
No. Am I supposed to do that? I have multiple AI things going. There's another AI that's working on videos. And I have stopped. I need to go back to it, but YouTube is just happening automatically now. So my show process, I record it, I edit it down to get rid of the music, and then I post it. It's already streaming live on YouTube. Then I post it to Spotify, and then Spotify populates YouTube. So there are 2 versions of every show on YouTube. And I don't know how much of this is getting there. This is all very convoluted, and this is me trying to find it. I don't know where it went. If I hold on, I have to log in. We're gonna get to all the stuff that you plan on talking about in a second, but I'm fascinated by this. I'm fascinated by the fact that the computer that I use to record all this stuff is like, here's what you just did, and that's crazy to me. So that's where I have to do Spotify for creators, and then that will let me log in. I want to read you a summary of an episode. Like, what these episodes sound like. They're garbage, right? Kind of. I mean, they're not garbage, but they're rambling and they're pointless and they're all over the place, and that's what I do. But not if you ask AI. If you ask AI what happened Friday, so our most recent show was Friday. Here's what it says: Brad opens episode 235 by openly debating whether a Friday show should even exist, then immediately answering his own question by doing it anyway. He explains the perfect storm that tipped the scales: post-holiday disorientation, a quiet house, too many thoughts bottled up, meaningful sports to discuss, and a deep personal need to reset the show's episode number rhythm. Along the way, he unpacks a low-key but joyful New Year's Eve at home built around an all-snacks dinner, board games, and 5+ hours of fish echoing through the house, before drifting into reflections on aging friendships, family rhythms, nostalgia, and how holidays scramble time, habits, and expectations. What begins as a question of why he's live quickly becomes a familiar, free-flowing meditation on routine, creativity, and the comfort of hitting go on the mic. The episode then pivots into big picture sports and culture, with Scott Wilson joining. All right, you are there. Good. For a wide-ranging conversation that jumps from a wild college football playoff weekend to the shifting realities of NIL, the transfer portal, and why the current postseason format may be actively punishing top seeds. They marvel at Indiana's improbable rise, the collapse of old blue blood assumptions, and debate how college football could be structurally fixed, from home playoff games to shortening layoff gaps. The back half veers into NFL weekend implications, Jets and Giants misery, and the strange art of tanking poorly before closing with a surprisingly thoughtful and darkly funny power ranking of notable deaths from the past year. The result is a classic Riter Radio episode, loosely structured, deeply opinionated, unexpectedly reflective, and anchored by the idea that sometimes the best reason to do a show is simply because not doing one feels worse. That's how it summed up Friday. Our show wasn't that good. It wasn't.
Well, first of all, it was great. It was great.
I know that, but it wasn't that. That's crazy. Right?
Well, I mean, it's well done. It's well done. It's beautiful prose for an unbelievable show. I think it's befitting the show. It's something that is appropriate and acceptable, and I think that you need to embrace that. Maybe that is, maybe it's the truth.
I think it is. I think it is the truth, but it's being written by a frigging computer, and I don't know that a human being could listen to the show and assess it in that way. And it makes me think maybe AI is better than us. And there's a lot going on there, man. Isn't there? Like that. That's a better summary than I could have or you could have written about the show, even if we were trying to be very self-promotional and raving about what we do. That's crazy how it did that.
Yeah, and for AI, I feel like it's the whole thing sounds remarkably emotional. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yes, it does.
It seems invested. So yeah, I'm impressed by AI summaries.
All right. A couple comments. Any show with Scott Wilson is really, really good. Without Scott, we never would have had the Pistachio Challenge. LOL.
Thank you. Yeah, right. Or the donuts.
Or any of this crap. All right. Let's pretend we didn't do any of that, and then do the stuff that we would normally do. Would you like to start with you start wherever you want. There's a lot of stuff has happened in the last 72 hours.
Yeah, let's start with the Bills.
All right.
Coming out, taking care of business. I have a lot on my mind about that game, but it has nothing really to do with the Bills.
Yeah, the Jets are fun. The Jets are more fun to talk about here.
Right. So we'll get there. I just want to say, okay, the Bills get the 6th seed, go on the road. They do technically have the opportunity to host the AFC Championship game now that they're not the 7th seed. A long shot there, but still a chance. And I'm nervous about the matchup for one reason, and it's a reason that we've talked about a bunch this year, but specifically here in the last couple of weeks, and even reared its head last night in the AFC North championship game, basically between the Steelers and the Ravens, and that is with another injury at kicker for the Bills. Not only are they going to have to figure out some way to fix that in games that are normally one score, but you're facing a team that has a guy that has made 67, 68, and 70-yard field goals. So if we get into an end of game situation and they get the ball returned through touchback or a kick return to out near the 35,
Right.
you're talking about a team that needs 15 yards to kick a game tying or winning field goal at the end of the game. And that to me is a massive advantage for Jacksonville.
Over not having a kicker? You think having the greatest kicker ever is better than having none?
Right. They are inexperienced, but I think Jacksonville is very dangerous in this game. I didn't want to face Houston. I would have much rather of the two faced New England than Jacksonville, just because I feel like the matchup against Jacksonville ramps up the pressure on the Bills 100-fold and on Josh Allen.
Josh specifically,
because it's...
You can't lose to Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, this is Jacksonville, and even though they've had a great season, they've got the 13 wins, they're still looked upon as Jacksonville. And that's not a fair assessment to either team here. This is not a gimme game at all. I think the Bills still have the ability to win this game, and I still like the fact that they have a good quarterback, but Trevor Lawrence this year has looked pretty good. Can the Bills get any pressure on him, which is really when he gets to be his most uncomfortable. When you really start to get pressure, especially early in the game, you can knock him out of a rhythm. The Bills haven't really been all that good at that this year. So, we'll see how this all unfolds. Jacksonville's got some good talent on the outside that I think can really cause some problems in the Bills secondary, and they run the ball enough and well enough that I think it's going to be a concern as well. But Josh Allen is still suiting up and ready to go on the other sideline with a week off. So we'll see how that plays out. I still like the matchup overall. I'm just very nervous about getting into a playoff game where you have a significant disadvantage at kicker. Significant disadvantage.
How do you think the kicker thing works right now? I would imagine every kicker agent is aware of the situation and is in touch with the Bills. Like I don't think they're gonna miss on the best available kicker. Like they're gonna know everyone who's out there, but it's obviously not Michael Badgley for this. You couldn't possibly do that. That would no. If the last few weeks didn't happen, that would be fine. But you can't, as Brandon Beane, do that. There's got to be somebody. I started thinking about, how when you play fantasy football, there's a do not cut or can't cut list of players. They're just like, no, you can't do that because they worry about collusion at the end of the year. But I started thinking about, does Brandon Beane have a friend in the league whose kicker's contract just expired, and can you cut somebody now and make them available or something? Is there a route to getting a legit NFL kicker? I don't need somebody that competes. I don't need somebody that can kick 71-yard field goals. I just need somebody that can hit from 50. And the
extra points.
And the extra points would be helpful too. They exist. How do you get one? I don't know. I started thinking about that a lot last night.
Yeah, I mean, is there a recently retired guy? Is there...
Retired's better, because if you cut somebody, even, I'm thinking of a non-playoff team with a good kicker whose contract is expired, but even that would have to go through waivers, and someone would be like, screw you, Bills, and grab them just to make sure it doesn't happen. So, not that. I don't know how it works.
Yeah, they're gonna have to have their homework done about it, because, I mean, it's yeah, and you can't go back to Badgley, I don't think.
Should I call Steve Christie?
So,
he's the only
Norwood?
kicker in my... No, Christie. Christie is the only kicker in my phone. The only NFL kicker whose number I have is Steve. And it's been a while. But I don't know, maybe.
Here's the interesting thing about kicker is you never really know what you've got there. Like the Aubrey down in Dallas, was a soccer player who was watching games at home and was selling insurance and was like, I bet you I can do that, and got a couple of footballs and went down and started kicking and found himself like getting a
He was
tryout
right.
for the UFL or whatever
Yeah.
and did it. And Sergio Aguero was by percentage the best field goal kicker in the history of college football, went to Florida State, crushing the ball from all over, and was gone in 2 years. Like, didn't even make it 2 seasons. So, I mean, you're asking, can you find somebody? Yeah, but you don't, like, you never really know. I mean,
Right.
there are guys in the league that are just soccer players, or there's a rugby player who figured it out. And then there are guys who we have seen in person, like the play for the Big Ten teams and crush the ball and just can't do it. They get to this level and for whatever reason can't figure it out. And it's odd and it's weird and it's a wrinkle that you can never really predict.
All right, let me throw
And
this
it's
one at you.
unfortunate that now they have to figure that out.
How about this? Can I just buy a kicker out of college right now? No, right? Because you have to go through the draft process. Like Upton Belenfant, who is like a backup kicker at A&M, or at Texas Tech, who was our UB kicker. I would be comfortable if he was the kicker for the Bills in the playoff game. Can they buy him? Can they just be like, here's
Well, no,
$100,000, here's $5,000, right? I know. Things have changed though. NIL. I don't know, something. No, right? Can't do that one. All right.
Could you organize a trade with Texas Tech?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I'm not positive. Yeah, you could have Keon Coleman, and then we get Belenfant. Just can you sign a kicker who graduated from college 2 years ago and never went to a pro team? Can you get that? Like, there's, you know what I'm saying?
I mean, as long as they kept themselves current with doing it, there's a number of names out there. I mean, there has to be like a kicker that has kicked in the Northeast before, or a kicker that has kicked out in the Pacific Northwest that is out there somewhere that at least has a little bit of experience in dealing with that. But at this point, you might not even need that, considering you're probably not playing at home. So, like, can you kick in Jacksonville? Maybe a little bit of rain, 50 degrees.
Yeah.
Like, that's what we're talking about. So it opens up to everybody, and there's plenty of kickers available. It's just, again, being able to roll the dice to find one that can consistently do it.
How many kickers in your lifetime do you believe in? It's like 4. So, like, I just need somebody. The Badgley thing was fine until it wasn't. Like, you can't bring that guy back because of the look. So I need another Badgley, but not that one. What about who's the Ohio State guy that got drafted by the Jets, and then kicked for the Steelers? Like, he can't be that far removed. Do you know who I'm talking about? Where's Nick Lowry? He might be dead.
I do. Gary Anderson, Morton Anderson.
Any Anderson, really?
Is there an Anderson available?
Yeah, that'd be fine.
There's got to be somebody.
If you just score touchdowns, I don't care about their field goal guy, and I think you're okay. When we go to the Bills and their receiving core, I assume they sat Brandon Cooks to rest him, which led to Gabe Davis looking like the guy that I've been raving about for the last 3-4 years that people forgot about. People were mad at him for his season that he had after his 201-yard, 4-touchdown performance in the playoff game. That's my favorite receiver the Bills have right now. And he'd better be in the friggin' lineup when they play on Sunday.
I would think that he is. You're going to have Shakir, Cooks, Shavers, and then who else? Who else you got the 3 tight ends, but who else would you put into that spot? Hardman?
I don't know. I would say not Coleman. So if it's Hardman, and who are we forgetting? There's another name.
I would be shocked if Keon Coleman is active for the playoff game. He didn't. I mean, there was nothing that he did in the game. He had some nice catches, but he was wide open for most of them. So I don't think you can really take much into consideration. I
you
would
relearn
assume
your
that
love?
Gabe Davis is going to be.
Did you relearn
there.
Gabe Davis yesterday? I mean, I know it's a crap Jets team, and the game didn't mean anything and all that, but he had 3, I believe, catches that no one else on this team has been able to make. I'm going to say ever, but certainly since his departure. And that's without Josh throwing the ball. That was Mitch. And there's just the trust factor, I think, has been the biggest issue for, why don't the Bills throw the ball down the field? Because he doesn't believe in any of these people to catch the ball. Gabe is someone to believe in, and that makes Josh better. So I don't know. To me, that would be crazy. I'm so happy he's back. I can picture him being, MVP is the wrong phrase, but like a very, very important part of the Bills getting to and winning the Super Bowl this year would be that dude being back on the roster. And I'm glad that he put on the performance yesterday to remind other people. Like when they got him back, I was so excited. And consensus was kind of like, who cares? Who cares about this guy? He's too inconsistent. He drops the ball, all this stuff. But Gabe Davis, to me, is not just the Chiefs playoff game guy. He's the Colts playoff game guy. When he had 2 toe tap catches that were unbelievable on the sideline and showed me Josh trusts this guy and he should. And I just think it helps the mentality of the quarterback, which is probably the most important thing that we need to hear if the Bills are going to proceed, is the quarterback to feel right. And I think Gabe Davis is a guy that makes the quarterback feel right. And him not being in the lineup would be insane to me.
Yeah, I mean, you like him more than me, but
I like him more than everybody. I like him more than his mom.
Just about.
I think he's perfect. He's a perfect player for Josh Allen, and it just, his belief in Gabe is what makes me believe in that combination. And yes, I do like him more than you. I'm sorry, I interrupted you. Go ahead, your turn.
No, I mean, as far as just the game overall yesterday, I came away midway through the third quarter. I wrote this down to remember to say to you at the time, and I didn't text you during the game because I wanted to save it for now. My thought when I was watching the game was, do the Jets practice at all? I don't understand. I know that they're down to the third quarterback, and Garrett Wilson's not playing in the outside, and Hall's not playing at running back.
And I've never heard of anyone on their team. Yeah,
and they've got some other situations there, but it's like they're playing all the Bills' backups, and they're just still super trash. They look terrible. And I just, after watching the Giants win again, it made me feel better, because I feel, yes, it's disappointing because with a loss yesterday, not only would the Giants have better draft position, they would have been picking first because the Raiders won. They would have had the first pick in the draft had they just lost to Dallas. But they didn't. It made me feel better because it's like, all right, I watch the Giants all the time and they're not this bad. And I don't think that they're as bad as the Raiders. I think that they're much better than the Raiders. The Raiders are really bad. I think the Jets were the worst team this year. The Giants picking fifth is right about where they probably should be. I think that they're better than
they look like a football team.
Titans.
They look like a team when they play. They just don't win their games. The Jets don't look like an NFL team at all.
Right.
I'm sure that I'm overstating it, but I've never seen a team look less like they belonged in the league. Like when people make those jokes, like could the NCAA champion beat this NFL team? Like this is the first team I've seen in forever. I was like, I don't know, maybe. Like logically, it makes no sense that you can be a professional football team and look like that team looks. I mean, that was awful. It looked like a preseason game, except I don't even know what the follow-up is to that. Like it was yesterday's game was a preseason game for the Bills. Like they're just giving Josh one snap to get his, keep his streak going, and then anyone we care about, we're going to try to keep him out of the lineup. And I don't know what's up with Max Hairston, but it's like we just didn't have enough people you don't have a 100-person roster. You got to play some of your guys, and him getting hurt sucks. But like that's the only thing that happened in that game that matters is, Max Hairston. What's up with that? And the Jets were not even like competent to compete in that level of professional football, which was almost not a game. And they were like, yeah, I know. Sorry. This is all we got.
It reminded me of like it's Auburn against South Carolina State A&M, like an FCS matchup in college football. Or do you remember the Khalil Mack season for UB when they went to Miami, Ohio, who finished winless that year? And it just looked like Miami was just like, we're here because if I don't play, they will revoke my scholarship. We have to be here right now. None of us want to be. And that's the way it looked like for the Jets yesterday, who did make a little bit of history. We had talked about this. No interceptions on the season.
Yeah.
0 interceptions on the season. That's I did some digging on that. That's a record that predates jet engines, which is sad when you're the team.
You're the Jets.
You're the Jets. That's bad. When
that's good digging, man. That's really good digging. Good job.
When your coach had 41 picks in his career, and then you just went the whole season with none. They had 4 turnovers on the season.
Yeah.
They last 5 games outscored 188-54. That's the worst 5-game consecutive streak. I mean, just real bad. Just real bad all around. And I haven't heard anything, but
he's not going to.
I don't know.
He can't stay.
I don't know. Maybe they're going to keep him around. I know Joe Shane for the Giants did get official word today that he is being retained. So, he's going to get to pick the new coach. I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that the owner is undergoing cancer treatment and chemotherapy and all that. And I don't really think that John Mara is really in a position right now to
blow it up and deal with
all of it up.
Yeah,
he has a guy there that he likes and trusts and knows, all right, there are some players here. It's not a perfect situation. We're all right for now. So that's kind of the way that's going. On the Giants side of things, last 38 games, the Giants are 8-30. 4 of the 8 wins coming in weeks 17 and 18. So that has drastically altered the course of their draft position.
Yeah, it's drastically perpetuated what's going on. Really, like that's the wrong time to win. That's sad. All of it's sad. We did this the other day talking about just New York. The situation of football in New York is so just pathetic and sad. Cool stadium, but good God.
I will say, I'm very excited about Jackson Dart. I think that kind of cushions a little bit of the blow. 12 games, 2,200 passing yards, 2,700 total, 24 total touchdowns, 5 interceptions, 64% completion percentage. Okay.
And likable.
And likable, and he's got a little bit of a juice to him. So I'm excited to at least see where this goes. He made some really nice throws again in this game against Dallas, and I think overall played much better for a rookie than what the final record ended up entailing. A lot of those losses this year. I think you look at the Saints game, his second start, he was not good with the 3 picks, but 24 total touchdowns, only 5 interceptions, and 3 of them came in the one game. So,
and without Neighbors for the most part too. I mean, that's your best weapon.
And without Malik Neighbors. So, yeah, I'm excited about that. I'm excited what we saw. Most of those losses came because, he'd scored a touchdown late and they'd go up and it wouldn't matter anyway. The defense would give it up, or a long field goal would be put up. So I think that makes the position a lot more appealing, knowing that not just cap wise, knowing that you have a young quarterback, but also the fact that he can play a little bit. If we can get the things around him going in the right direction.
Yeah. And that also helps explain Shane staying. I mean, I know, Mara being tied up right now is a part of it, but I don't know. It wasn't quite working with the Shane Dable combo. So Dable goes, and he's more the face of the franchise. But if you're like behind the scenes, I don't know. We got our guy, and he got banged up, so he didn't play the whole season. He didn't start the season, and he didn't have his best weapon. I don't know. It kind of makes sense. And that, going back to what we started with, which was comparing the Jets to the Giants, it's a world of difference. There's with the Jets, you could literally remove everyone that works there as coaching staff and players and front office and vendors and security guards and start over, and you wouldn't be worse. I know they won 4 games, but you couldn't be worse. That is a disaster of a team, and the Giants are not that. The Giants are, you can see it. You can see where it could work out, and that's a world of difference between the Jets and Giants.
Yeah. One other NFL note that I'll throw out here, and I didn't realize it until I saw it on social media this morning. The Arizona Cardinals tight end Trey McBride, 126 catches, 1,200 yards, 11 touchdowns. That's first in every category for a tight end, and no one saw any of it.
Right.
No one saw any of it.
And I can't even tell you who's throwing the ball. Jacoby Brissett?
Yeah, for some of it.
Most
of it. And Murray
Tyler,
for the first half. Yeah.
I heard McBride referred to as the best tight end in football, like just casually. I was like, really? Huh? Because, I haven't seen any of it. I didn't have him on a fantasy team. If you had him on a team, you would notice, but I haven't noticed that guy at all. And then I heard him referred to as that.
But you never see it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you would know he's on your fantasy team, so at the end of the week, you'd say, oh, wow, McBride had 7 catches for 80 yards and a touchdown. That's nice. He keeps putting up numbers for him. But you never see it. It just like happened. It's almost like the Cardinals could have played every game this year in Tokyo, where they're playing every week when everyone's asleep, and then you wake up and you see the score. Like, no one saw any of those games. They were terrible all season, and he just put up unbelievable numbers this year, and no one, like, I didn't realize that was happening.
Oh, that's
good for him.
Yeah,
good for him. But just the Cardinals are just out there in the wilderness with nothing. They have nothing.
I appreciate
except
you
for Trey
bringing
McBride.
Yeah, I appreciate you bringing it up, because I, for sure, heard someone call him the best tight end in football just casually, and I would have forgotten about that. Like, it stood out in the moment. I was like, what? And then something else distracted me. But you bringing that up is, if nothing else, something to remember for my fantasy draft in August.
I would think that the Cardinals are going to have to get active here trying to find a quarterback. I'd be shocked if Kyler Murray isn't somebody that was either traded, on the move, or cut, what have you. I'm not sure what his dead cap numbers are going to look like if they were to cut him, but
They're done with him. It seems
they're done
right?
with him.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seems like they're done with him.
Well,
So
when they move you to 3, when they're like, you're not going to start this week, and also you're 3, they're done, right?
right,
That's a pretty good sign.
yeah, that's a pretty good sign that things are going in the other direction. You know, I'm sure somebody else, I'll give him a shot. He could end up with the Jets.
Cool.
You know,
That'd be
that's
great.
basically what they already did with Justin Fields. Maybe the Jets can just compile every small mobile quarterback there is and hope that one of them works out. The Jets picking second now. They're going to be in the marketplace for a quarterback, and Fernando Mendoza from Indiana.
He's going to the Raiders, right?
I would imagine, and Dante Moore for Oregon. It's not really sure. There hasn't been anything out there that it's a definite situation that Dante Moore from Oregon would leave. And in fact, let me ask you this. Now with NIL, if you're Dante Moore, and let's say they lose to Indiana, they are in the semifinals of the college football playoff, your salary would be $10 million for the second pick in the draft. Oregon can pay him close to that to stay for another year and make another run, and he would get to avoid going to the Jets. That becomes real enticing to me.
He would get to avoid going to the Jets for a year. He's going to go to a first overall next year, but he doesn't have to go right away. And he can hang out in college. I don't know what you remember about college, but I liked it.
Yeah, and can you imagine if I gave you $8 million for a year? I would bet college is even better with $8 million. Because that's, and I'll transition here a little bit to, we need to talk about the transfer portal, and
we'll do that in a second. No, I want to ask you this.
What is happening here? But this is along the same lines.
But if you're a college kid, is there a difference between $8 million and $1 million for this year while you're waiting? Like, I don't think there's a difference. If I'm going to be hanging out on campus playing football, I don't think there's a difference between 1 and 8 when I know 10 is coming the next year, or 12 or whatever. I don't think there's a difference. So I don't think it even takes 8. It might take, maybe it's 4 or something, but you can be like, would you like to be a millionaire now? And that's 1. And then it's like, yeah, I would, but we could do a little bit. And you end up at like 4. I don't think you have to go to 8. But I don't know.
Well, no, they're going to have to go to 8 because of the money being thrown around right now in the transfer portal in college football is unbelievable. The Cincinnati quarterback, Sorsby, is transferring to Texas Tech. He's going to make $5 million. The Bearcats went 6-7 this year. And that quarterback is going to make $5 million. So that's the type of money we're talking about. And if it's Dante Moore, he's going to have to be, a guy that's won games. I would imagine he's going to make considerably more than that. So that I think that is something that I'm trying to point to in reference. We see an awful lot of bulls in the transfer portal that we did not see last year, but we're seeing it this year. Folks, there's a lot of money out there and loyalty, and you want them to stay. But these guys are being offered a ton of money, and it's not just like only Alabama is paying. We're talking about Texas Tech. We're talking about the smaller schools all over are paying everybody. Indiana's a national power because they have the largest alumni network and largest number of alumni in the country right now for their size of school. And they've got a lot of money flowing in that they're spending. It's, these these MAC schools right now are just getting straight up rated, and the Bulls have a lot of talent on their roster, and it's in progress, unfortunately. If you don't like it and you're a supporter of UB, contact them and get involved with the NIL collective and get involved and donate some money, help them out. But that's where we're at right now. When you hear the head coach of Arizona State, Kenny Dillingham, in a season-ending press conference, and they talked to him, and the question was, how can your team, you've shown that you could win the Big 12, and you've got a playoff appearance, how can you take the next step? And his answer, without blinking, was, we need an alumnus that has a lot of money to write us a $20 million check, and we can do that. That's where we're at. It sucks for fans of college football that have grown up with talent evaluation and development, and everybody's going to be there for 4 years, and you've got a solid nucleus and a team that you can develop. That's very rare. That's rare at schools where you can retain, where you have all that money to retain teams, let alone any team that is in the group of five or in the MAC. When a 6-7 quarterback from Cincinnati is going to make $5 million, like, what are you going to do? I mean, there's schools are just like, how can we compete with that? Hopefully there's going to be some rules to this game coming down the pike here eventually. And I do think that it's very fun and interesting to see that now that every other school, not just SEC schools, can pay their players, the SEC is not as dominant as they have been.
Right.
But, there's a lot of good talent out there. Unfortunately, some of it is already gone for the Bulls. Victor Snow, one of the best players in one of the best receivers or all-purpose players in the history of the program, is going to NC State.
Former walk-on too, by the way. Like
former walk-on
yes. Last season, not the one that just ended, but the previous season, he was part of the story of, like, we're going to start paying for his school. He doesn't have to pay to come here to play for us anymore. And that was awesome. And then a year later, it's like, all right, cool, thanks, bye. And it sucks. And I don't blame him, but the system is so messed up, man. It's so crazy. It's so crazy.
Yeah. Demetrius Ballard, who was set to take over one of the defensive end spots and was in that rotation all year, was a really nice-looking up-and-coming player, good size, good range, long arms coming off the edge. He's going to Boston College. And there's a lot of other massive names out there. And the money that's being thrown around that we're talking about here is like the same amount of money that these MAC schools have for NIL for a player.
Yeah. Yeah, no, there's nothing you can do. Well,
I mean, Nick McMillan, Marquise Cooper, Lamar Sperling, the punter, Dylan Drennan. Dylan Drennan's going to make a ton of money from somebody.
He's really good.
And he's excellent. He's great. Junior Poyser, who I think is probably the biggest one out there.
He's going to the NFL.
Crawford.
Yeah, that one's sad.
That is leaving. So now, from my count, and this is not counting possible left tackle Henry Tabansi, who we haven't necessarily seen officially, but have kind of heard that's a possibility.
I saw him on a list. I saw him on a list.
Yeah. Saw him on a list, but I haven't seen anything from him personally that he's gone through social media, so I haven't counted him yet. But right now, that's 45 players between portal and graduation being lost. They signed 20 new players, so that's minus 25 just to the overall roster. Talking about losing the punter, the kicker, and the long snapper.
If they leave, though, like going in the portal doesn't mean
some of these guys could come back. Yes,
in the portal, it's not even come back. Like going in the portal is like, I'm available, call me. Like it's going on a dating website, basically. And if you don't get any hits, you're just like, all right, I'll stay here. So that still can happen. So it's not. We can't take the minus whatever number you said. What did you say? Minus 24? Well, it's not necessarily that, but it's, it could be that. And the Bulls
I'm just saying as of right now.
Yeah.
As of right now, and the Bulls are definitely very active.
They had
a big official, they had a big weekend of official visits from portal guys this weekend. There's 66 players left on the roster. If you just look at turnover by position, they brought in 2 defensive tackles in recruiting, but 5 are leaving. So there's going to be a big hole there. I mean, we haven't talked about Devin Morgan going out into the portal. He's another guy that was a massive player for this team, especially getting after the quarterback from the interior there. 6 linebackers right now are not going to be on the route. They brought in 4 through recruiting, and they're starting to dabble in there now that Deion Crawford has put out there. 5 wide receivers are gone from last year. They brought 1 in, but did have a big recruiting class at wide receiver last year. So having those guys there is a lot of young talent that we've seen that can step up. But you're just, it's going to be, this will be the first really full-fledged modern day
turnover year. Yeah.
Turnover of the roster for the Bulls. Yeah. A team that has luckily been able to avoid that more than their contemporaries. Yeah. The Bulls now are experiencing something that pretty much the rest of the MAC is going through and has experienced. I mean, Central Michigan has, a couple of their guys already gone. I've seen a couple of other MAC players end up taking visits and committing to UConn. Why? Well, the old coach of Toledo is now the head coach of UConn. So he's basically had 6 years of scouting the conference to know if there were players to cherry pick. Now that he's got more money at UConn,
sure,
who he can go out and try and get, and he's been able to get some of them. It's unfortunate. It's the current world, and whatever you lose in the portal, we've also had very good players come in through the portal, and the Bulls are out there and they're trying to bring in new talent, fresh faces, whether it be guys upgrading from successful programs in Division II or other FCS programs or other Group of 5 programs. They're very active. They're going to backfill,
right?
And I like the talent evaluation part of the program here for Coach Lembo so far. So I believe they'll be able to fill it in, but it's just going to be a lot of question marks, unlike last year, for what exactly this team is going to be and what it's going to look like.
Yeah, there's a whole new job to do, and that sounds so frustrating for anybody. Like, I love Pete Lembo because he's a veteran and has been through everything, but it almost doesn't translate. And this is not a knock on Pete, but I'm just like, all of his experience, like, he's awesome at this, but this has become a different thing. Now, here's the positive twist on all of this. 40 or whatever, how many, whatever, 20 UB guys going in the portal is a pretty normal number for the country. And that includes Power 4. So let's say there are 30 guys from every Power 4 school in the portal too. And they're looking, everybody's got a different desire. Some of it is, I want money. Some of it is, I want to play. Some of it is, I want to go somewhere I believe in. Whatever it is, if you want to play and you want to believe in something, the Bulls still have a thing to sell in Pete. Like, he's got a vibe that can potentially attract, Lamar Sperling's going to leave and he's going to go be the 3rd string running back at a Power 4 school. Cool. The last 3rd string running back at that same Power 4 school is in the portal too. So it's a whole new job to go get him, but there are dudes available to make your team ready for this coming season. What sucks is that there's no carryover. It's not like, oh, we're good this year and then we'll be good next year and this guy's going to grow, because they're going to go. But there are players out there. It's just a matter of sifting through and finding them and convincing them to come here when there's not the money to give them. But there are people who want to play. There are people who want to play for a good dude. There are people who want to, community and all. Like, you have that. You have something to sell to people who already did the other thing and are unhappy with that and want to go. So we got to fix this. But that's like the positive part of it is Sperling's gone or going to be gone. You can replace Sperling with a better version that fits UB better, probably, if you do it right. But you're competing with everybody to do it, so it sucks. It's a new world, but the talent is out there. The players are out there. They're all. I'll also say this: everyone in the portal to me is slightly, at least, a bitch. Like, you signed up for this thing, right? You signed up for this thing, and you're like, it's not perfect, and then you want to leave, and it might be, Again, I use Upton Bellenfant as the perfect example of, like, I don't get mad at him. He just signed up to kick at UB, and then Texas Tech is like, do you want $500,000 to kick in Texas? He's like, okay. Like, I get how that happens. But the majority of people, they go in the portal like, I'm just not super happy right now. And it's so, like, millennial or whatever. Like, yeah, I don't know. Like, yeah. But you can get it right. There's still players out there. You can go out and nail this and go undefeated next year at UB. You could. I don't know how you do it, but it's a new job. It's a new process, and it sucks. But players are out there. Every player the Bulls are losing is replaceable by a better player who's also in the portal if they get that right. I have no idea how to do that. It's true.
Yeah, well over 4,000 players in the transfer portal. That's 35% of FBS football rosters are available. So, yeah, you're right as far as the average. If you average it out over every team, the Bulls are right there at average. It's just, it's very frustrating. It's very, very frustrating because – these are a lot of those names are guys that the Bulls found and brought in and have grown with, and you'd like to see them finish out and complete the journey. But, with the amount of money that's being thrown around, it's very hard to criticize any kid from
100%
being able to take
That's right.
to take that opportunity. But just to go along with what you said, yes, 35% of college football is available to get this year. So there's a lot of bodies. There's when we get into the summer, I would love to really maybe just have Pete on and talk about the way things are now. You almost have to have a separate scouting department for the portal. Like it used to be, you have a recruiting department or you have a recruiting staff, and they're basically scouring high school tapes and going out and they're meeting people and talking to people. And now it's like you still do that. Yes. but
also,
you also have to know, like, who are the good players on West Florida in Division II that we should be keeping an eye on. We also have to keep an eye on, are there players in the Mountain West that are based in the East that might want to come home? It's so much. There's so much going on. How it's got to feel at times like, trying to drink from a fire hose.
Yeah, it's
where there's just a lot coming at you, and how to weed through that, and how to find that, and how do you distribute your time? Like how much of that is word of mouth, or how much of that is, and I know a big thing that I have noticed just because I follow it so closely, you see, online or social media, and Pete talked about it when he got hired. He's big on relationships. So there's a lot of the Bulls knowing this current score of what is happening in college football. And I have noticed that over the past 2 seasons, they've offered a lot of guys that when you really look at the overall picture, I don't think that they thought they were going to get, because they had involvement in Power 5 programs. But they were able to form a relationship, and they have been understanding that everything comes back around. And if something happens, I know that I want this kid on my team.
Yeah.
And if I can get a relationship now, when that happens, or if that happens, I'm still in a position where I'm not starting from zero. I'm starting from we have a relationship and we know each other, and we can go that route.
Can I name this?
They put a lot of that in there.
Can I name this phenomenon right now?
Okay.
Booty call. Right?
Okay.
That's what you're talking about. You're talking about, I put in my time, and it's probably never going to be anything. But you up? You know, like the thing happens where it's not working out. I know that we talked to you 2 years ago, but you went to Iowa instead. And I understand why you went to Iowa instead of coming here. But it's not really great, is it? Your relationship, does he make you sad? Does he make you a little sad? Do you want to talk about it? And like that's kind of what you're talking about, right? Like building like setting a bar where it's like, yeah, I know you. We know each other. And if
oh man, you just broke up with Penn State?
Yeah. Right.
You want to come over and talk?
Right.
Right.
Netflix and chill.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah,
I like that a lot.
Yeah.
That's basically a big part of it. But just the sheer amount of the numbers and the scouting game, and a lot of these kids that are going to the portal are not going to go anywhere. They're just, and I'm not talking about UB. I'm talking about the country.
Sure.
Like
4,000
kids. There's not going to be, there's high school kids that are coming in. So it's not like there's a constant rotation of 4,000 out, 4,000 in. There's going to be a lot of kids that are leaving for greener pastures that are going to be at the Verizon store working next year because they made a bad choice. So that's the tough part too that really always gets to me is, they still are young kids that make dumb decisions or get talked into making decisions that they shouldn't. And not all of this is going to be sunshine and roses for everybody. Not everybody's going to get a big payday out of this, and they're going to end up on the outside looking in.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's going to be plenty of opportunities though for the Bulls to backfill these positions with good, talented, experienced players. They've done it recently. Joe Andreessen was out of the portal. Technically Dolak was, but he, that's a loophole. Mitch Gonser was great this year for the Bulls on defense. He was a portal guy. Savion Brown is a portal guy who has been a key part of their defense for the past 2 seasons. There's guys that you can go out. Malin White was out of the portal. Kobe Stewart was out of the portal. These are all guys that have made major impacts on the team. So there will be help coming, but in the process, before we know who those guys are and what those names are, I do want to register the fact that it's that I probably won't get to see Junior Poyser play next year for the Bulls because I was most excited to see him. He was awesome this year, and he's only going to get better.
Yeah, and Crawford and Snell and McMillan.
And Sperling. I mean, Jesus, I was ready for Sperling to finally get the call, but maybe he found out that he wasn't going to. That call was never going to go. So I don't blame him. I think Lamar. It sucks because I like to watch Lamar play football, but he should have been the main back after the 100-yard game and after he got healthy again this year, I think, and he just never was. Like he ran for 100 yards and was great, and we never saw him again. And I know that he got banged up and injured in there, and he sat out a week, but still should have had a lot more say. Looks like it's going to be Terrence Shelton's team here as far as running back goes. So, and they're going to have to replace a lot of that O-line, if not all of it.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
It's going to be interesting. New quarterback.
Well, it's a
lot of new faces on defense.
It's going to really make it bad for the thing where it's July and August, and people are like, "Hey, how are the Bulls going to be this year?" And I'm always like, I don't know. Like, let me watch 3 games, and I can tell you. And now it's like, I have no idea what this team is next year. No idea. And that sucks. But, that's a personal problem. It's not But it is
It's
reflective
also
of
turning
what
into
college football is. So
it's also turning into part of the fun in the conference. Everybody's going through it. Everybody in the conference
Yeah.
is dealing with it. So, it's going to be another toss up. Western Michigan won the conference this year. No one had them
right.
in the draw, but they were able to put it together, made some good portal acquisitions there in the off season, stayed pretty consistent, were able to put it together for 8 games and won. So do we know what's coming? No, but we know that no matter what, because it's happening everywhere else in the conference, they're still going to be in play
Yeah, it's all
to win the
chaos.
conference.
It's all chaos. Everything is chaos. All right. Is there anything else we need to discuss before we wrap this up? Because it's already 12:18 and the show ends 18 minutes ago. No, you didn't do anything wrong.
Sorry.
No, it's fine. Like part of me wants to get into movie stuff because you watched a movie and I watched a movie that we both would like to discuss, and we could do that now. I don't know what your situation is. I can sit here all day.
Well, I mean, we can do that now, or we can do that Friday. What would you like to do?
Well, I feel like there's going to be 4 more days of stuff by Friday, and we both just watched these movies, and we probably should do it now.
All right.
But I don't know what kind of time you got. What's your situation right now? You're at work.
I've got 12:20 on my clock.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah, but the show ended 20 minutes ago, so we're still going. Or should have ended. It doesn't matter.
We're not even on anymore. Is that what you're telling me?
No, that's not what I'm telling you. All right. You watched what I predict will be and want badly to be Best Picture at the Oscars, finally. And now the name is One Battle After Another. One Battle. The new Paul Thomas Anderson movie. DiCaprio, Sean Penn. John Fuller saw this movie in the theater and was like, I can't wait until you see it. And then I saw it, and then we've talked about it a lot, and then I couldn't wait until you saw it. And you saw it, and you said, like, yeah, it was good. It wasn't great. And that made me sad.
Yeah. I mean, it was a good movie, and I appreciate that it's an original idea. It's an original script. It's not, already known IP where, it's.
Hey, look,
I like
it's
the Marvel
Superman
movies and stuff.
Yeah.
Right. I appreciate that. I was entertained. It never really got around to kind of deciding what type of movie it was. Like I like where there's a drama with some comedy, or an action movie with some comedy. Like you never, I don't know. It could never really decide what exactly it was. I also thought it was probably about 15 or 20 minutes too long. Like, can we take 5 minutes of the car going over the hills out? Do that twice. I get it. I understand what's happening. I get it. But there was a lot of that. It didn't need to be that long. But it was good. It was entertaining. I thought there's a little bit too much buildup at the start. It was good. It was good, not great. I can understand how it's going to probably win awards this year.
All of them. I think it's going to win all of them. Taste is taste, so I'm not going to try to convince you you're wrong. But I watched it and loved it, and I watched it again the next night, and I loved it more. And I think a second viewing might do it for you when you get what it is, because it doesn't want to be any specific thing. Honestly, like when you were describing that sounds like this show to me. It's just good. It's done well by someone. I'm talking about the movie, not the show, but like a master of his craft. Paul Thomas Anderson is a master of his craft. DiCaprio is a master. Sean Penn is a master. There were new people in there that I didn't know, but were masterful in their setting, and all of it was I think I just want unexpected and unconventional and creative, and it did all of that for me. It was nothing like anything I've ever seen before, and it didn't fit into a genre, which is what I liked about it, which is what I'm going for with this show, which makes it tough to find an audience that's like, oh, well, yeah, this is good. This is the new blank. Like, it's not that. It's its own thing, and that's part of it to me too. So If you didn't love it, I understand. But I request that you watch it again. You didn't hate it, so you could do that. You could watch it one more time. And I think you'll like it better the second time, because I did.
Maybe it's just that I heard from John how great it is, that I went in with
most
my
problems I
expectations
have
sky high.
Yeah, most problems I have are Fuller related. So that makes sense. Stupid John.
I was a little taken out of it. I mean, I'm a big fan of him. Jim Downey being in this was that's where I was like, wait, all right, are they going for the comedy, or are they going for the drama of the situation? You know,
it's all of it.
I don't know.
All of it.
I know it's all of it. I know it's all of it.
That's what I like. I like that it's all of it.
Nitpicking.
No, it makes sense. It's what you're describing is why it wasn't like a blockbuster, because it doesn't. It's not pigeonholed into this is this or that. It's not a comedy. It's not a drama. It's not an action movie. It's just a movie, a perfect movie maker doing all of the things from all of the genres and saying this is a unique. It's just I think it is. It's top 10 of this century, I would say. Like it's, and that was me underselling it. Like it's, it's one of the best things I've ever seen put together to me. I don't want to overdo it, but like if you don't get it, you don't get it. Or if you don't love it, you don't love it. Whatever. I'm not trying to put you down for not loving it either. Like it just to me is that's film. Like that's Hollywood. It's like what's your favorite Tarantino movie? And don't Pulp is out. Pulp's out. No Pulp. Anything but Pulp Fiction.
No Pulp Fiction.
What's your favorite Tarantino movie that isn't Pulp Fiction?
It would be either Inglourious Bastards or Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Okay, that's the right answer.
I'm between those two.
What was I was trying to drive it toward Once Upon a Time, but what was Inglourious Bastards? Was that drama? Was that action? Was that comedy? It wasn't a comedy? It wasn't a drama?
It was an action movie with comedy mixed in.
What's the best scene in it? What's the best scene in the movie?
The one where you're talking about the basement bar.
What?
The basement bar.
No. The kitchen is the best movie in that, and that's drama, and it's suspense, and it's everything you would ever want in a movie. The opening scene.
Wait, are you talking about Inglourious Bastards?
Yeah.
The kitchen?
The first scene. Christoph Waltz.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah.
The defining scene of that movie that you said is an action movie is not an action movie because the best scene is that. So like,
but it's suspense to action.
The action of shooting somebody running out of the door that's not action. That's drama and suspense. The overall point is the mixture of genres is what makes that movie incredible, because it's that and it's flamethrowers, and it's baseball bats and it's the Bear Jew and it's like it's combining all the things is what makes that unbelievable to me. And then I think that this the movie we're talking about is doing that again. I don't know. I hear you.
I just didn't like it as much. I hear you. I understand you.
Yeah.
I understand that, and I don't mind. I'm not trying to drive home that it has to be one genre in order for me to enjoy it, because that's not the case. That's not what I'm saying.
All right.
I'm just saying, as far as for me, the overall tone and the overall, I don't know. I just something about it. I couldn't fully engage with it. Maybe a second viewing. Maybe I can view it a second time. I will say I think DiCaprio's incredible in it, and I think it does have a memorable scene like you're talking about in those Tarantino movies, for me, my favorite scene, and I think that it's a brilliant take on um, like the secret underground culture, and that is DiCaprio on the phone trying to find out the rendezvous point,
Unbelievable.
and he can't remember the third secret phrase
Yeah, he's
in
like,
order
come
to
on.
get it, and
Come on,
he's
man.
dealing with the guy on the other end of the phone who just won't give in and let him have the information. It was very funny and very relatable across just life in general.
Oh,
And
that's
I
just
thought
tech
that it was
support.
brilliant
That's
that
just
somebody
calling tech
thought of.
support.
Right, it's just a brilliant take of what if somebody's really is invested in this and they just forget. Like that's just a brilliant thought and was acted out perfectly. And DiCaprio in this actually reminded me a little bit of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I thought that his acting in both is
Yeah.
probably for both of those is near the top of what he's ever done.
He's never done anything
Even right
incorrectly.
down to like the Fu Manchu mustache that he had in both movies. One of them in the Tarantino movie,
the other
he's
Tarantino
got it when
movie.
he's the cowboy, or when he's the cowboy in the movie, and then in this one he just actually has it for that character. So
right, the other Tarantino, Django Unchained, he same type of thing going on with the facial hair. God. All right, just watch it again. Watch it again and make it one of your favorite movies. It's so good.
And I do like. I think that's as good as Sean Penn has been in a while as well.
Oh yes,
like he really like The Walk, like the tight ass.
Do you know what that was?
Walk the whole thing.
What did you?
He was really good.
The Walk came from what? Like who was he impersonating with The Walk? That to me is awesome too. Like for sure he was impersonating someone.
Do you have a name in mind?
Yes. Dude, it's okay if you're. I'm not trying
McMahon.
to. 100%. 100%. That's what he was doing. That was a Vince McMahon impression as that character. Like that was just like baked into the movie. Was he is so impressed with himself that he walks like not Vince but Mr. McMahon, like the character of Vince McMahon. He channeled into that. Like that's baked into the movie. There's so much. Watch it again. Just watch it one more time. You'll be there. You'll get to where I am when you watch it one more time. It's so friggin' good.
All right.
I'll
try.
All right. This will be the last thing we do today. If you have a few more minutes, I'm sorry. The last thing, or excuse me, you texted me, hey, I finally watched One Battle After Another. And I said, speaking of finally, I finally watched The Godfather Part 2. And I know it's been out for 50 years, but I just got around to it. And I watched it, and my take from it is that, wow, this thing influenced everything that I've seen since. Like, everyone else saw this movie, and then they made all this cool stuff, TV shows, movies, etc. And they just straight ripped stuff from that movie and put it on my screen. And me having never seen it, it's like Breaking Bad was better by me not seeing Godfather Part 2. Ozark was better by me not seeing Godfather Part 2. Both amazing shows, things I love, rave about. And I don't feel like things were stolen. I think things were blatantly like homages, tributes to that movie in 100 things I've seen since that thing came out. I didn't love it. I liked it. It was good. Again, I'd have to watch it again. It'll be different. But the influence of that, it's like listening to, Howling Wolf and being like, oh, now I understand Led Zeppelin, or listening to Lead Belly or whatever. Like, I get where it came from now, and I was very appreciative of that. The influence that was brought on by, I mean, it's a spectacular movie that is kind of boring and drawn out and long and sleepy and dark and all that. Like, dark, literally, like the light. I'm watching it in my basement. I'm like, can I turn the brightness up on the projector so I can see what's going on here? But all of that, and then also just seeing young Pacino again, is, that refocuses who he is to me. I kind of got nothing out of De Niro in Godfather 2, but I still get it, and like trying to picture him as Vito, and eventually he becomes, a cotton-mouthed version of himself later. That didn't, I don't know, that was distracting to me. But in general, I'm glad I finally saw it, and I get why people care about it, and I get why it was a Best Picture. But my summary is that I enjoyed it. Thoughts?
Good. It's a good movie, and it is interesting when you hear or when you see something like that, and it makes other things become clearer. And you mentioned music, and a lot of that is in music, where if you actually hear the musicians talk about it and their influences, all their music becomes reframed rather, in a way. I'm thinking specifically of not Dave Navarro. I'm thinking of the drummer from Nirvana who went to Foo Fighters.
Grohl. Dave Grohl.
Dave Grohl, talking about the Nirvana records and his drum beats, and explaining that they're all just almost direct ripoffs of 70s funk that he listened to a bunch as a kid. Like Smells Like Teen Spirit is almost like a direct ripoff of like some funk song. And then when you hear that, you're like, oh, wow. So here's this entire genre of music that was coming out of Seattle and largely based upon what this band was doing. And it's just a switched up take on funk. Grunge. Their drum beats end up being largely influenced by funk, and you have no idea. And yeah, the amount of things that have been influenced by The Godfather. Just look at the fact that once Godfather 2 came out, and it was as good or better than the first, sequels became a thing. Like, you started getting second movies, and that wasn't a thing that really ever happened before that. So
it's kind of a prequel. It's kind of a prequel too, like that.
Right.
That's a word that didn't exist, and that's what it is. It's like, oh, you like that movie? Let me tell you how we got to that movie. Like, there's something incredible about that, and it's the first time it was done, to my knowledge.
Right. So, I'm glad that you finally saw it. You don't need to see 3.
I saw 3. This is what's crazy. I saw 3 because it came out, I don't know what year, but that was when I was just going to movies. I would go to every movie. So I saw everything that came out for, 3-4 years, like late high school, early college. I can drive. What are we doing on Friday night? No plans. Let's go to a movie. Right. Yeah. So I saw Godfather 3, and it was unremarkable. It was, I know people hate it. I know people hate Sofia Coppola for being in it or whatever. I think I'm going to watch it again just to see. It might be okay. But I saw that before I saw the other 2.
If you look it up, the Sofia Coppola role was supposed to be played by somebody else, and they backed out last minute and ended up just settling on Sofia Coppola because she was there.
Okay.
I think that there's an interesting story behind that. I think that they had like an actual actress lined up, and then she said no, and they were just like, we'll just take her.
Yeah. She's around anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, she's going to be here anyway, so we might as well do it. Yeah, good movie. I'm surprised that you say that you didn't like De Niro in it. Or not that you
I
didn't
didn't
like.
dislike him.
He was just kind of there.
I think
He learned Italian, and he did give a little bit of that. He did try to get a little bit of the voice that Brando uses in one.
yeah, the Cottonmouth thing.
Yeah, that thing where you at least feel like you can tie the two characters or the two versions of the character together.
Yeah.
And it's a genuinely good origin story.
Yeah.
I think they could have done if that movie is made today, that's Godfather 2 is 3 movies.
Well, it's 2
right?
anyway. They have an intermission built into it. So, yeah.
Right, but I mean, Godfather 1 would come out, it would be successful. They would say we want Godfather 2. Godfather 2.
Oh, right.
They would
There'd
say
be a Vito story.
It would be a prequel. It would be, and then it would be Godfather 3 would probably be the modern version of Godfather 2. Godfather 2 would probably just be the prequel, and instead they're kind of blended together in one. Because I mean, they're going to try and get the most amount of money out of it as possible.
Right.
Now.
Right. But back then they were just making films.
Right.
So, that's super interesting. Good. All right. I'm going to watch Godfather 3 probably before Godfather 3 before we talk again. So I might have stuff to say about that. All right. Last thing. You on Friday forgot to give your football pick, and you texted me immediately after the show was over saying, I forgot to give my pick. And I said, well, we can revisit that on Monday. So what was your pick, and how did it go?
My pick was Texas State minus 16.5 over Rice. And that was easy money. That was easy money. I apologize for getting it last week, but it still counts as a win. That's 5 in a row. We're making cash.
That's impressive.
Serious cash down the stretch here. Only 2 games left, so my amount of choice, I can no longer go out and find the Texas State's Rice games of the world.
Yeah. Well, there are other sports you can pick from other worlds. You can pick hockey games if you want. That would be stupid. But there's basketball.
Sabres lost, so I
know
assume it's over.
So
it's over.
No. You want to hear a funny story about that? I had an offer. So my buddy Brad in Columbus, who you've met, texted me, and he had an extra ticket for Sabres at Blue Jackets on Saturday. And this is about a week ago, I would say, that he texted me about this. And I said, all right, let me check. And so I went to my wife and I said, hey,
I'd like to go to a hockey game in Columbus.
Right. We don't go to hockey games here, but I want to go to we don't watch them on TV here, but I want to go. So I was like, hey, I got invited to the Sabres game. It's on Saturday. It's at 3 p.m. and it's in Columbus. And the look on her face led me to not even let her talk and go, so obviously I'm not going to do that. And so I didn't go. And they lost anyway, and, whatever. But that's my story on Sabres' streak ending. But still just hanging out near playoffs. In or near playoffs.
Yeah. It's actually...
something.
Well, it's actually a pretty balanced Eastern Conference. I was looking at the standings the other day, and the Rangers are 5 points out, and they're second to last.
Right.
So, there's a lot of competitive balance this year. So the Sabres, barring some drastic drop off, will be in the hunt.
That's what we're looking for. It's all we're looking for at this point, in the hunt. All right. let's stop because it's 12:42 and the show ended 42 minutes ago, but we've been still going. So, all right. Thank you, Scott Wilson. We'll talk to you Friday.
All right. See you
later, man. There's Scott. We're done. Thanks, everyone. Bye. Nope.
Media production.
Nope. Wrong button. Here we go. Bye.
What are you doing for lunch?
I don't know. I have a turkey sandwich.
We're gonna go around the corner. I think you should come with us. This is a great place.
Okay.
We brought you a shirt.
Will you get out of here? Will you get out of here? Will you? Now, will you go to lunch? Go to lunch. Will you go to lunch?